Soup thrown over historic Van Gogh painting. Iconic British footballer on trial for coercive control. Ancient Egyptian artifacts. Patricia Krenwinkel of the Manson family and more. Hello listeners, and welcome to another Cult News update. I'm your speaker Casey, host of the Cult Vault podcast. If you find this content interesting or helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, as well as finding me on patreon.com/the Cult Vault for ad-free and exclusive content. And now on to today's news. An article by Damien Gale for The Guardian details how Just Stop Oil activists threw tomato soup over the Vincent van Gogh painting titled Sunflowers, looking like regular attendees of the gallery in London before taking off their jackets to reveal Just Stop Oil t-shirts. The protesters Phoebe Plummer and Anna Holland then superglued themselves to the wall beneath the painting and began shouting things like, "What is worth more, art or life?" And the cost of living crisis is part of the cost of oil crisis. Fuel is unaffordable to millions of cold, hungry families. They can't even afford to heat a tin of soup. The group of activists have been staging sit-downs across London over the last few weeks, and when approached by The Guardian for comment, a spokesperson for the movement said, "We aren't trying to make friends. Unfortunately, this is the way that change happens." The vandals at the gallery were quickly met by Metropolitan Police. An article by Layla Nelson for CanadaToday.news is titled "Egyptian Cult Bell Rings for the First Time in 2,000 Years." Archaeologists discovered the bones of 1,200 ram skulls, thought to be slaughtered some 2,000 years ago, in a sacrificial ritual honouring the pharaoh known as Ramses the Great. One of the diggers on site noted that the ram skulls were wrapped in cloth, which indicates that it's linked to the cult of Ares, and that one of the rams had an unusual tiny bell around its neck which still rings. Known as Ramses the Great, the pharaoh was thought to be worshipped some 1,000 years after his death, and had great temples and monuments built in his name. He was so revered that 9 other pharaohs took his name. The bell was found in the site of the Temple of Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of death and resurrection, and was thought to be the first temple built by Ramses, who reigned around 1279 BC, 44 years after Tutankhamun, and led for over 70 years. TimesOfIsrael.com has an article written by Ash Obel titled "Jerusalem Lets Convicted Cult Leader Use Municipal Parking for Sukkot Events." Cult leader Rabbi Eliezer Berland, convicted sex offender and leader of the Shuvu Bonim religious group, has served prison sentences for sex offences and fraud and was even implicated in the death of a teenage boy. Followers of the movement expressed their disdain at not being able to hold their holy events with their leader, but boasted this week that the group have managed to secure a large plot of land to hold one of their events. Securing the 5,000 square metres, this is significantly larger than any amount of land the group have held before in order to perform their holy gatherings. The article goes on to detail that the Jerusalem municipality justified the decision to let Shuvu Bonim use the parking lot, which is usually reserved for municipal workers. However, most staff are on vacation amid the Jewish high holidays, with the parking lot largely unused at the moment. The instructions given in exchange for permission to build the sukkah is that it is done so in an orderly manner and will be removed at the end of the festival. Berland fled Israel in 2013 amid sexual assault charges, was sentenced to 18 months in 2016, and arrested again in 2020 after hundreds filed complaints of Berland selling prayers and pills to desperate members of the community. A video for Sky News Australia by host Peter Credlin discusses the topic of protesters on climate change. The group in Australia have taken things to the next level. In the video, Credlin talks of Australia's commitment to methane emissions reduction is simply activists trying to get people to eat less meat. She says, quote, "Having wreaked havoc with Australia's once affordable and reliable supply, the climate cult has now turned its attention to agriculture. The facts are that just over 10% of Australia's total greenhouse gas emissions are methane from belching and farting animals. As we all know, when we tax something, that cost gets passed on, and we get less use, in this case, less consumption of meat, which is the ultimate goal of the activists." End quote. An article by Al Jazeera details a California governor's decision to block the parole of Patricia Krenwinkel, former follower of notorious cult leader Charles Manson. Krenwinkel is currently the longest-serving female prisoner in the United States and was charged, along with some of Manson's other followers, for the murder of pregnant actress Sharon Tate, Abigail Folger, Stephen Parent, Jay Sebring and Wojtek Frykowski, before scrawling the words Helter Skelter on the wall of 10050 Cielo Drive in the blood of her victims. Patricia Krenwinkel, who went by the name Katie within the Manson family on Manson's instructions, is now aged 74. Governor Gavin Newsom declared that Krenwinkel is still too much of a risk to public safety due to her fully buying into the racist and apocalyptic teachings of Charlie Manson. Newsom agreed that Krenwinkel had behaved well in prison and completed many rehabilitation and education programs and demonstrated remorse. But this doesn't mean she is fit or eligible for release. Jay Sebring's nephew pled for her continued incarceration, stating she should remain in prison, quote, due to the rare, severe, egregious nature of her crimes. And Sharon Tate's sister, the last remaining member of Tate's immediate family, told parole officers, quote, we all come from homes with problems and didn't decide to go out and brutally kill 7 strangers. NZOnScreen.com have a trailer on their website for the upcoming documentary about the Christian community known as Gloria Vale. Gloria Vale follows the Reddy family, exploring serious allegations at the Gloria Vale Christian community on the West Coast. After Sharon Reddy's daughter died of asphyxiation at Gloria Vale, her son John, who'd left the religious sect, launched a civil case against its leaders, claiming Gloria Vale women lived in servitude. Sharon's daughter Virginia and her kids left the community over cases of sexual abuse. In this trailer, Sharon, John and Virginia reflect on their time at Gloria Vale, and lawyer Liz Gregory talks of unending revelations by ex-members. The Australian-New Zealand doco debuts at the New Zealand International Film Festival. Joanna Crawley and Nick Craven for the Mail Online report that famous footballer Ryan Giggs has been spotted with his new girlfriend for the first time since the news of his retrial for assault and coercive and controlling behaviour allegations against his ex-girlfriend Kate Greville. The 48-year-old former Manchester United player stated that he is disappointed that he has been ordered for a retrial over allegations of domestic abuse and may have to wait up to 10 months to find out his fate. The retrial decision came after the Crown Prosecution Service decided it would pursue a prosecution against the ex-footballer after a jury failed to reach a verdict following a 3-week trial. The former coach is accused of assaulting his ex-girlfriend and her younger sister at his multi-million-pound mansion and of coercive and controlling behaviour against his former partner Kate Greville, all of which Giggs has denied. And that is the end of today's cult news. If you find this information interesting or helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. For more content, you can find me at patreon.com/The Cult Vault to support the show and access ad-free and exclusive content. I am your speaker, Casey, host of the Cult Vault podcast.